This episode is brought to you by Maestro Sausage, the only sausage we use at Hot Tongue. They produce sausages specifically with pizzerias in mind, and you can tell. So if your sausage isn't hitting all the right notes, let Maestro lead the way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ted Koppel, aka Alex Koons, and I'm sitting here at Hot Tongue Pizza to bring you a hot, already brand new episode of Pie to Pie. This one with Domenick of Bucky's. And let me tell you, Domenick took a long flight out here for a bit of a pizza crawl in Los Angeles by him lonesome because that's how much he cares about his craft. He visited some legends around the LA scene and he found the time to sit down with me here at Hot Tongue Pizza. Domenick is a man who came from pharmaceuticals, much like a young Griffin Baker pizza maker. And you know what? Crazy enough, when Griffin's episode came out, Domenick hit me up and said, holy shit, I helped Griffin get a job because he was a headhunter, a recruiter, right? That's what they're called? A recruiter. And he recruited one of our past guests, who's now a pizza making legend in the making. Domenick got laid off. And we talk about sometimes having a catalyst or being pushed off the bridge or the cliff into entrepreneurship. Sometimes you need a nudge. Sometimes it's hard to do it yourself. Domenick, like so many, started popping up. And he recently just signed a lease for Brick-and-Mortar. He got in there. He made some deals. We talk about that. And it's been pretty crazy journey for him because he has done all of this within such a short period of time, and that's what's great about these stories is hearing just how somebody got to where they are, how they did it, and there is a lot of great insight in Domenick's story. It was such a pleasure having him stop by. We had been texting and we have talked on the phone for back and forth for a while now, and sitting down with him in person and listening to his story. It was great. I know you guys are going to enjoy this pod just as much as I love listening to Before These Crowded Streets. Every once in a while, sometimes it takes me back to all the drugs that I did, and it's overwhelming listening to Dave Matthews sometimes. But I cannot wait, and Dom says I got to go see him at Hollywood Bowl, one of the best concerts that he's ever seen. Anyways, without further ado, please enjoy Domenick, Bucky's Pizza, New Jersey. Let's go. MailWise Solutions takes advertising to the next level. They design, print, and direct mail, menus, flyers, and postcards for pizzerias all across the United States. I've worked with MailWise before. I tried to design my own menu, and Kevin said, hey, give me a stab at this, and holy shit. When he sent me back the menu, I was like, I thought I was okay at what I did, and his design team blew me away. There's no mailing contracts, so you're free to advertise on your own schedule. Click the link in the show notes or request a sample pack at mailwisesolutions.com. Let's get you some new customers today. I mean, you're a pop-up, right?
Yep.
That's how you started?
Yeah.
And what were you using?
So I started with my home oven. I got
Yeah.
a pizza steel, and I just started cooking that way. And then, there was the sourdough renaissance that happened during COVID. And then I was like, how do I make sourdough pizza? And at the time, there really wasn't anything out there. I would say like a year into the whole project, like I stumbled upon Noel Broner and Slow Rise Pizza, and they had a sourdough class that Joey Butterbaugh from Folks had done, and I took that class, and I was like, wow, this is great, and it sparked a lot of curiosity, and I just started tinkering, and a couple years later I got a rock box, and that was my first pizza oven, and just kind of spiraled out of control from there.
When did you take that class?
It was probably 2020.
Yeah. And was it, you just wanted to have fun at that point, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was in corporate America, I had a job. I always kind of in the back of my head was I want to do pizza, but I had an easy job, I'd say.
Yeah.
It was comfortable. It allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do in my spare time. And I don't think I would have taken the leap if I didn't get laid off. And that happened 2 weeks before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I think first having a kid and like going through something like that, like I think it's a lot to process, and like as morbid as it sounds, like you start thinking about like what am I going to leave behind, and
I don't think
I
that's
wasn't.
morbid.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I wasn't really proud of what I was doing in recruiting, and like it just like there was something missing, right? Like I've always been creative and artistic, and I've always kind of liked science a little bit, and like making dough just kind of seemed like a blend of all of those things for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. That was it. I got laid off, and I was fortunate enough to get like a contract gig that carried me through another 7 months or so. But I took all the money that I had from my severance package, and then I had a relative that was kind enough to help me out a little bit, and I bought a Fontana Forni oven and a enclosed trailer, and I was like, I'm gonna go make pizza in parking lots and try and make some money to survive, and here we are 9 months later.
It's only 9 months later?
Yeah, I started my first one, I think it's 9 months if my math is, no, maybe it's about 11.
Since you
Yeah.
got the trailer. But
Yeah,
you were well making pizza.
Yeah, my
before
first
that.
pop-up was June 17th.
Of 2023?
Yeah.
Didn't I talk to you like in June about like a possible
know if
brick
it-
and mortar?
I don't know if it was June. I think it was probably like October, November.
Yeah, I was in Arizona. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Your first pop up was in June, and then you were already looking at spaces.
Yeah, it happened. So we started doing a pop-up at a coffee shop, Sunday Motor Co. You know, they have a really great like vibe, and just their customers are kind of like exactly what we're targeting, and it was just a really natural thing. And I would say like our second pop-up there, when like we had that place full, and people were enjoying themselves. It was like nightly, BYOB. It felt like the spot to be. And we were like, yeah, this is, you know, we're bigger than parking lots, and it happened quick. I think a lot of it too, though, like you put yourself in a situation to like make those things happen a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been like grinding and working as hard as I possibly can. I've never worked this hard at anything in my life. But I think it's because it's for myself, you know, and like building something that I can leave behind. And
Yeah.
it's just so much more fulfilling. So
What did your wife say when you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna like blow this all on a pizza trailer and
she was
fuck corporate
supportive.
America?
She was supportive.
Yeah.
Like as crazy as it sounds, like I'm sure she's just as scared as I was, but you know, like especially now, like how far we've come, like I don't think there's a world where I'd be willing to give it up unless I absolutely like had to, you know, like
Yeah.
we've gotten through some pretty hard times. Like winter hit me like a, you know, like a brick wall. Wasn't expecting to go from like, you know, we would pull in probably like, we'd do like 2 pop-ups a week. And we were able to survive, and then winter came and like, it was just like nothing. So that was tough, but, I just feel like if we were able to get through that, we can get through anything. And yeah, she's been great. Like I would not be able to do it without her. So
Yes, support is important.
yeah, she's got a full-time job, and like now she has a full-time job that she never asked for. It's like those memes right now that are pretty popular.
Of what?
They're just like my spouse or whatever started a business, and I got a job, like a full-time job that I never wanted.
Yeah. Well, also
So-
being a parent is a full-time job.
Yeah,
as
well, that too.
With a brand
So-
new kid. It's interesting how those big moments can be catalysts to
Yeah.
like to jump off a cliff. You know, being able to have that thing in the back of your head, like, yeah, I've like always wanted to do pizza, and then your opportunity comes when like kind of not in the best, it's not the best case scenario, but I just talked to a buddy, Josh from Fat Natties, and like he literally just got laid off of his job, I think like 2 weeks ago. And the dude, he got an opportunity to do these big ass catering events.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know? What has been the hardest part since leaving corporate America and being in the restaurant industry?
I think it's all just like the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? But I think that just comes with like being a business owner.
Yeah.
When you go from working for someone and like thinking you have like a guaranteed check and like you can kind of like plan ahead, like, oh, like I know that this amount of money is coming in, like we could do this. Being a business owner, like it's a roller coaster. Like you have a couple of months where you're doing great, and then there's a few months where like you have no idea what's going to happen. So I would say just dealing with all of that is probably the most stressful. And then like also trying to like grow it into something larger while you're also the person that's doing everything. Like I'm prepping everything. Like I just did it. Like I had a pop-up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then I was on an airplane at 6 a.m. after I was like cleaning up until 2 on Saturday night. I don't have time to do anything else but prepare for those events.
Yeah.
So like everything else just goes to, the side. And, when you think about like, if I'm going to take this space over in 2 months, like there's just so much work to do and like, it's just me and that's challenging also.
So when you run a pop-up, like you have no help. There's no, you make it, you bake it, and you slice it and dice it.
So I have help.
Box it and rocks it.
Yeah, I have help at the pop-ups, but like in terms of prepping and doing all of that, it's really just been myself. Like the guy that's working with me, he's like slowly taking on a little bit more and a little bit more. But I know that he also doesn't this isn't what he wanted to do. So I'm from talent acquisition and HR. So like, I know that I'm planning ahead that like one day he's going to get a real job and he's not going to want to help me cook pizza in parking lots anymore. Right. So,
but who's this guy?
His name's Liam.
But Liam's too good for the pop-up game or what?
No, but like, he graduated college. He wants, a real
Good luck
job.
getting a job.
Yeah. So
he might want to just stay in the restaurant industry. You know what I'm saying?
I've tried to, paint the picture for him. Like, it's not all it's cracked out to be, that corporate America.
Right. You've been there.
Yeah. Do something that you love. And like, you're so young, like just figure it out now and then chase it. Like, I wish I started this when I was like 21. Did
you always have like an entrepreneurial spirit?
Growing up, I always wanted to work for myself.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what that meant. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people, like, even when I had my first job out of college, it was like a small recruiting agency. Mm-hmm. And like, you just thinking, you're like, I could totally do this. Like, I see what the owner's got going on here and like, what a great business. Like, I could totally do this.
Well, that's everyone's mindset. Everyone thinks, I could do this better.
And I always had that. And I always felt like, I don't like to be put in a box. So like, even when I started recruiting, my first job, like they told me like, oh, you're never going to be good at this. Like, there's no way that you could be this successful making so few calls, because it's all, how many phone calls do you make? How many emails like do you send and all of this? And at the time is when like LinkedIn really kicked off. And I just spent all my time on LinkedIn messaging people that had like super specific backgrounds for exactly what I was looking for. And I didn't spend any time on the phone, but I was getting in front of people and I was still networking. They just couldn't quantify or track what I was doing. So they were just like, you're not going to be successful because you don't make 50 phone calls a day. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, nobody wants a phone
boomer.
Call. Yeah.
I was like, nobody. The party's happening on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Nobody wants a phone call, like a cold call. They're at work. Like, if they don't recognize the number, they're just going to like put it back in their pocket.
Yeah.
So
I'm never answering my phone. If you call me, anyone out there, if you have my number, don't ever call me.
Yeah.
Don't ever call me. I'm not answering that phone.
So
hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah. That's, and like, I just focused my time there, and it was different than what everyone else was doing. And at a certain point, other people tried to do what I was doing and they didn't have the success. So I think they were looking to make an example out of someone. And like, within a year and a half of recruiting, I think I was like the number 2 or number 3 recruiter, like in
the world.
No, in that smaller company, but there had been people that have been doing it for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So like, they let me go, and I went on, and I still found success in doing what I was doing, but I always had that in the back of my head, like I want to work for myself.
Yeah.
So don't know how we got all the way there and here, but
yeah, well, I just wonder, because I mean, a paycheck is really nice, and knowing that money is coming in is something I don't even really remember what it's like. but not a lot of people. Like a lot of people say they want to do things or that they'd like to do this, but they never jump off that cliff. There is no catalyst that's going to make them do that, because I think it is probably mostly because of fear, right?
Yeah, I think so. And for me, like, it was always what I wanted to do, but I wasn't really willing to leave the safety and the comfort that I had until it was just yanked out from under me.
Until you had none at all, anyways.
Yeah. Like in recruiting, I got laid off when it was the popular thing to do for all the major tech companies like Facebook, Meta, Google. They were all laying recruiters off. And there was just a ton of, there was a lot of competition in this space, right? So I was in pharmaceutical advertising at the time. Unless there was another pharmaceutical advertising agency that was looking to hire a director level or above talent acquisition person, I wasn't going to find a job. And that's exactly what happened, because if I wanted to go into tech, they're just going to hire someone else that just got laid off from Meta, right? Like, why are they going to take me that I don't have the background that they're really looking for? I know what I'm doing. I know how to run the teams and like process and procedure and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. It was like really a lot of competition, and I didn't want to go through that, and I bought a pizza oven instead.
I purchased a Gosney Arc XL recently, and the bake has been so consistent. The bottom heat of the oven and the actual arc just cooks the crust to a caramelized perfection. There is no other oven, in my opinion, out right now that is going to give you these same results. Whether you are in need of a new oven for your pop-up, or your dad's asking you, what is the best oven to make some homemade pizzas? Use our affiliate link down in the show notes. Smash the link. It helps the podcast, and more importantly, it helps you. Talking about competition, what's the competition like or the pizza community like where you're at?
So where we're at in New Jersey, there's a couple of places I think that do a really good job. But for the most part, I think it's, those generational businesses that have been around for 30 or 40 years, and they haven't really changed anything but the quality of the products. And I think when DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of those delivery services came out, like, their business struggled, because 10 years ago, if you wanted takeout, really your only options were pizza and Chinese food. Now you can get whatever you want.
The golden years.
Yeah.
Dude.
So unless you have a strong product, I just think like those businesses have kind of suffered. So
are you saying there's no good pizza in New Jersey?
I think that there's a lot to be desired. Like I said, there are a few places that do a really good job. But I think that those are few and far between.
Yeah.
Like, there's a handful of pizzerias that I think I would recommend in New Jersey.
The whole state.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are the top three?
And that probably sounds like...
Your top three.
I don't know.
Big D's top three.
That's hard to answer.
Come on.
Let's
swear. Go. Off the top.
I would say there's Artie's, that's pretty local. They do a good job. There's Vinny's Pan Pizza. They do like a Chicago, tavern style, thin crust. They have a good pizza. There's Caniglio's. They do obviously a good job. And those are there are a couple of others that do decent, there's Forte, and then there's a spot down the road from us. They do a really good job.
Any shore pizza that you have any fond memories of?
So now down at the shore, they just opened a new spot, Pizzeria Lucci, and then there's Rosie's. So those are I don't know why I didn't mention those yet, but they do a really good job. But they're so far away that you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
So,
well, you ate some pizza here in California yesterday.
I did. And I will eat some more today.
Where are you going today?
I'm going to Pizzeria Bianco. I'll probably hit up Lasorted's.
Nice.
I've been told to go to Hail Mary. Hopefully, maybe I'll get a slice here.
Hail Mary is down the street, and so is Lasorted's.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. You ate Folks. You ate Speak Cheesy, you ate Truly. I'm wearing a Truly hat right now.
Yeah.
Shout out Chris Decker, the legend. Come on, baby, get on the pod. And Aussies.
Yep.
Which was the best?
For me, I think they were all fantastic. But I think like it's a shootout between Speak Cheesy and Folks. I think a lot of that is just because that's kind of like the style that inspired me. So just my preference lends itself there. And they're both such great examples that it's like hard to say one is better than the other.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of what I'm after. So
That kind of style of pizza is what you're after?
yeah.
Which is like what? Sourdough, high heat, like
The-
Neapolitan?
I wouldn't call it like, I think it's kind of like a hybrid. But I would say it's almost like a California like sourdough style, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't think any of them are baking above 630, you know? But I just think it's, you know, all the work that you put into the dough, the starter, like, you know, I don't know. I like that it's a big crust. Like there's a lot of dough to it. Like you put that much work into it. Like I think that should shine.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I think you get that with those. And then Truly was really cool too. Like texturally, I've never had a pizza like that.
Well,
in my
I don't
life.
know what. There's like gotta be so much oil in that dough, or like the micro blisters on it, and it's like so light. I don't know if it's like a Biga or a Polish. It's just like, and it's crunchy, and it's I don't know. I
Yeah.
just had it at Pizza City Fest, and it was like, what is going on here in my mouth?
It's like, you know, they're doing something that you didn't know was possible.
Yeah,
And like you have to just respect.
it's like a focaccia, like it's I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's pretty. What made you want to get into sourdough? Because
I don't know.
The longer I do it, and like especially when I eat somebody's pizza, and I'm like, oh man, like what's the dough? And they're like, well, it's salt, yeast, one type of flour, and some water, and it's a 24-hour cold ferment, and it's like, man, this is delicious. What the fuck am I doing? You know, it's a lot of work. So
I think for me, I like the process. You know what I mean? And like,
you like the romance.
yeah, like I think like if I was just going in, I was using one flour, like the same thing every single day, and like didn't have the ability to like tinker, that I'd feel differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause then it just kind of feels very repetitive. But like with sourdough, like you're dealing with a different challenge every day, and I like the problem solving of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my dough's not, you know, it's not proofing quickly enough. Like, what am I going to do? And then, like, you're making pizza in your house. So, like, you're like, I'm going to go turn the oven on, and I'm going to, like, put all the dough on top of the oven, and, like, hopefully the warmth radiates, and, you know, I can get this, get these squares risen in time to bake before I got to leave in 3 hours. So, you know, I think I like the hurt
The
that comes with
insanity of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, where'd you get your sourdough starter from?
I started it.
Nice. You started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Now you're here.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people get their starters from other. They want to tell the story of their starter being.
It came from like the gold rush in Colorado or
Well,
whatever.
that story is pretty sick from Yukon.
Yeah.
We got ours in an alley in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like sitting right next to a dumpster. Had a bunch of mold on it. We just fucking
man.
took it off. Probably some bum piss. That's really where like that nice acidity comes from in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Is all the piss in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I don't miss, like walking down the sidewalk
And
in
seeing
the
someone
heat.
take a shit.
Yeah.
Oh, the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the heat just, you know, that it makes, like in winter, you know, you could walk around outside and like not need a mask or a respirator. And then it gets hot out and like the sun just heats that piss up, and oh man, it wafts. Same thing in New York. So, you know.
Let's talk about. Did you sign a lease?
Not yet.
You haven't.
Not yet, but it seems imminent. So I have been trying like not to get too far ahead of myself. So the only thing that's holding me back at this moment is fundraising. I think that's probably the biggest oversight that I've had throughout this. Like I was like, the money will come, and it's been harder to raise than I thought, which I should have known that. Like, it's very foolish of me. But who wants to invest in a pizzeria in today's economy where everyone's tightening up their wallets and restaurants
are dying?
Yeah, like they're not doing well.
Yeah.
So
How much are you looking to raise?
my pie in the sky, I'd love 300 grand.
Yeah.
Definitely not going to get that.
Not with that attitude, my boy.
Yeah, well, like my bottom line was been like 200, and I don't even know if I'm gonna get that. But like now I'm starting to think, well, I have this much, so I have like a little more than half of what I need at this point.
Yeah.
But I think it's enough to make it work.
And you're crowdfunding, or are you trying to bring on investors?
So it's been silent partners, but I think I'm gonna do like I don't know if like I'll sell like T-shirts or merch or like something to just kind of get people to throw in some extra money, or I might put a calling out on the interwebs and let people know that we're looking for investors. But I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when we talked, I think in October, we had a discussion about like a place that I think you're still looking at.
Yeah, it's the same spot.
The place that's like kind of like outside of like the downtown happening area.
It's not really off the beaten path. That like it's on Main Street that connects the two towns that we've been targeting.
Yeah.
It's just not like the downtown portion of those two towns. It's like in the middle, but it's still a great spot. Like there's an elementary school right across the street. You got a church across the street, big parking lot. Like it has all the things that you want in a pizzeria. Like it's convenient for people to get to. They don't have to like worry about, it's downtown. Where am I going to park? Like,
well, I wanted to get in like because we kind of had the conversation where it's like, do you take that spot, or like you were even thinking about like just getting a fucking build out like in the downtown happening area, and I was like, don't fucking do it.
We put in a letter of intent on that space.
Yeah. And there is a God because he didn't let you get that.
Yeah, I think I got lucky because there's a pizzeria like 2 doors down. I had no idea they own the building that they're in, and the new spot they like redid a movie theater. And in order to access the parking lot, you kind of have to like do something. Like I think you have to go on the other, like that other pizzeria's property.
Oh shit!
And they worked out a deal with the town that they can build this. We'll give them access to use our property, but it can't be a pizzeria or a hair salon.
Yeah.
And we found that out after we put in like a letter of intent. So.
Well, they should have. Whoever was doing that letter of intent should have known.
No, there was really no way in knowing until it got to like the township and yeah. So even like the building owner had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, which is shocking to me, but
that is shocking. I went when I was looking for spots. I was trying to do an LOI in a complex that had a Little Caesars. And I was just like, didn't even think about it. But you cannot, in a strip mall that has a Domino's, a Little Caesars, or anything, there's usually some kind. I mean, that's a different story. But I was like, we're doing two different things. And they're like, no, pizza is pizza. And I was like, listen, Little Caesars.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as what I'm trying to do. But I get it. Hey, shout out Little Caesars. So you have, you are in talks. They're like holding this space. They're not running a business out of it right now? They are. They're still working there.
They're still operating. Okay. I've taken way longer than I should have, but I'm thankful that they've been patient. And we've negotiated everything. We're at a point now where...
Well, tell me about negotiations. If you feel comfortable talking about exact pricing, we love to hear it.
Yeah.
Where was it at? What did they want? How did you get it down? Was that nail biting? Are you working with a broker? Like, take us through that process.
So I'm working with a commercial realtor because he was looking at spaces for us to get into.
Yeah.
And he got a phone call that this business, which in fairness, like years ago, they were a pizzeria that was there for 30 years. They did really good business. And then I think the owner wanted to get out and they sold it off. And then this group came in, and I just think that there's a lot of competition like in the area for that style of pizza. And unless you have your community's backing, it's hard to stand out without a really exceptional product.
Yeah.
And, you know, for whatever reason, they're now in the situation where they're trying to get out, and I'm the fool that's like trying to rush in and take over.
Yeah.
But I think that the product is different enough to stand out, and people will come for it. But when we went into it, I think they were looking for 100,000, and I whittled them down, and I think time was on my side a little bit. I don't want to say the exact number, but yeah, it was very little. And then the security deposit, the broker wants a finder's fee. I want some working capital because, you know, if I go in and I spend all of that and I have nothing left, like how am I going to buy food? How am I going to pay people? And just like a level of comfort knowing that like I can take this on and like not have to worry for like a couple of months, maybe, you know, and just have a little bit of a runway.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I'd love a spiral mixer. I'd love electric ovens or maybe something better than a Baker's Pride, but I'm learning that you can make something good out of anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, all that fancy equipment's not really in the budget, but I feel like anything's better than what I have now. So,
yeah, and like you can always, tools are definitely going to make things easier and can make your product better. They aren't necessary though to making a great product.
I'd love to get a proofer just because I feel like that solves a lot of problems.
With what?
Just like dough management, you know? Like,
I've never used a proofer.
Yeah, I haven't either, but like the idea of it really seems to make sense in my head.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, because I've just been like in so many situations where like I'll take my dough out and like, you know, temperature drops, like it's not rising quickly enough. And like I'm just always scrambling at the last minute to get out of my house to get to a pop-up. Like,
Well, once you get into a restaurant space, it'll be a little easier because it'll probably be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
But hey, shout out to Slow Rise. As long as you got your time and your temperature,
yeah,
you should be staying consistent.
Yeah. Well, I've got it to a place now where it's relatively predictable.
Yeah.
I think the thing now that I'll have to solve is I can make dough at any time right now.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have a brick and mortar space that's 10, 15 minutes away, I don't have that luxury anymore. So it has to be like super predictable to the point where, you know, I don't think there'll be that much to figure out. Like you mix your dough, you let it do its like bulk room temp rise, dump it in the fridge, and it should be good to go. It's more so like the Detroits that I do and getting them proofed in time to par bake before we would open. That's like the piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to solve. Because in an ideal world, I'd like to walk in the door and then the Detroits are ready to par bake.
If your sausage needs aren't hitting all the right notes, then let Maestro lead the way. Maestro has been working closely with pizzerias for decades. They produce sausages designed specifically with pizzerias in mind. And you can tell their Italian sausage crumbles look like they were handmade in your shop, and they will taste that way as well. With over 80 years in business, family owned and operated, the family is incredible, and so is their product. It's quality sausage with quality ingredients. Click the link in the show notes. A classical masterpiece awaits you. Back to the show. All right, take me through your square situation.
Yeah, so I mix, then I leave it out to bulk, about like 10%, stuff it in the fridge for 24 hours, and then I break it down, I ball it up, and then from there, it's about a 6-hour rise. After about 4 hours and it's relaxed, I'm able to stretch it all out, and then I give it like 2 hours to just kind of come up again.
Yeah.
And then that's it, I bake. But it's that 6-hour period that like I'd have to switch it up where maybe I'm balling the night before and I'm getting it all stretched out and then I just let it finish in the fridge. But right now I can't do that because I don't have enough fridge space for all of the Detroit pans.
Yeah.
And it fits in the Cambros. So I haven't really been able to test that.
I think that'll work.
Yeah,
fine.
When
you have a retro space, it's gonna be much easier. Everything is going to get when you have that space, and 15 minutes is not that far away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, I'm just like right now, if I mix my dough at like 8 or 9 o'clock, like I got to get up at like 4 o'clock and get it in the fridge. So like, it's just a schedule.
8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, at night.
Yeah.
But
you let it bulk ferment for
my basement
out the
gets
fridge.
cold.
How long?
My basement gets cold,
Okay.
so I try to keep it as warm as I can, but sometimes it's like 65 in there, so it just takes a little bit longer. Like when it's 72 or so, it's ready to go in like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But like in the winter, can't do much about it.
Yeah, your dough schedule is probably going to change though, because you can come in at like 6 or 7 in the morning, and then let your dough bulk ferment, ball it.
Yeah, it's just
4 or
schedule.
5 hours later, and then how long do you like? Is there a certain amount of days you like your dough to go?
I do like 2 days.
Yeah, I think 2 days is 2
Yeah.
2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
I like it after 3 days, but it gets harder to work with. People start complaining here, and
Yeah.
by 5 days, I'm like, if Jason says he does 7.
Yeah,
And
I think like 5 to 7.
That's
like,
fucking crazy.
That's a lot.
No
and like I'm
thanks.
just thinking like, because I just figured this out like 2 weeks ago. Like I've been overproofing my dough in bulk fermentation for months.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like when you try and figure it all out on your own, like you could read as many books as you want or watch as many YouTube videos as you want, but you don't actually have the experience making the dough, or like you could see a picture of like, this is what proper fermentation looks like, but you're not feeling that. You know what I mean? So I was letting it, like it was almost more than doubling in bulk fermentation, and now I started to catch it a little younger, and then I get it in the fridge.
Yeah.
And now that I've cracked the Da Vinci's code, you know, I think that'll translate, and I'll be able to try different things with it. But
Of course.
yeah, that was an interesting thing too, just being like self-taught and like reading all these books, but not having any practical experience to actually feel what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, so
Are you a by the book kind of guy?
no, not at
No.
all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, pizza's interesting because it's, again, I repeat myself all the time. It's like the easiest, hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And to do it well, you know, I have a hard time explaining fermentation if my mom asked me what that is.
Same here.
It's just like something that I know, and I'm more of like a hands-on, like, okay, I've done this now for 8 years, or this
Yeah.
process is, I've seen this for 15 years, and it's just kind of like, you know it,
Yeah.
you know, but it's hard to maybe explain it.
I can't put it in layman's terms. You know what I
Like
mean?
somebody like Dan Richter could just be like, or like Chadwick from Two Doughs. It's just
Yeah.
like one time we were talking on the podcast, and I was just like, what the
Say
fuck?
what? Yeah, I talked to Dan, and like even
You guys
Jason,
homies? You guys
What?
smoke some vapes together?
Nah, I didn't get that far. But even like Jason and Joey from Folks, like they make it seem so easy. And like, you know, I've been doing this for a couple of years, but in the grand scheme of things, like I know absolutely nothing. And I think that curiosity, like the fact that I know that I don't know it, I think just kind of like, and I have the curiosity to try and learn it. Like, I think that's really all you need. But, you know, I think I understand enough to like make a good product, but like I can't explain it easily to anybody. Like
Well-
my sister-in-law was like, I want to start making sourdough bread. And I just laughed at her. I was like, are you sure? And I like tried to explain a couple of things, and I just scared her. Like
Yeah, I think when you break it down in like super simple layman terms, though, it's like a sourdough starter is natural yeast, and
Yeah.
all you have to do is feed it 100%
yeah,
flour and water, and then 7-8 days later, it's ready to go.
yeah.
You know, like the simplest stuff. But do you do any flour blends, or like what flour do you use?
After this trip, I might. But right now, I've been using King Arthur, and
Okay.
I blend Sir Lancelot and Sir Galahad. So I've kept it pretty simple. Like
That's a hot little
white
mix.
flour.
You know that? A lot of people A lot of people rock with that, especially with the amount of like inflation or whatever you want to call it, like in flour.
Yeah.
Like the cost. I've had so many friends just start using King Arthur only.
Yeah, well, like I've played around with like a lot of Caputo and Molino Casillo, and there's another Italian brand, and like I just didn't really see that big of a benefit, and they're like almost twice the price.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, I use Bianco di Napoli tomatoes, which are probably the most expensive ones that you could buy, and like everything else I'm using like the most expensive, and I think it makes sense to like not cheap out on something, but like if you don't notice the difference, like why spend that money?
Yeah.
But now I was introduced to the Karen Springs,
Yes.
the Edison flour yesterday.
Nice.
And now I'm trying to figure out how to get some of it.
Who was using that?
I don't want to give away any secrets.
I don't think they're gonna give a shit.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Jason cares.
Yeah.
Going back to maybe like not using Italian flour or Karen Springs, it's really like what is important to you. Is it the tomatoes? Is it like King Arthur is a good brand.
Yeah.
There's got to be like some sacrifices here and there. Like, do you use a little bit of organic produce? And I don't know, like there has to be some kind of balance in your pizza to make sure that you're using quality ingredients and then the best that you can get. And
Yeah. I'm probably going to kick myself in the mouth, though, because now I think I understand enough about flours to the point where it might actually make a difference now. So
I would just argue that if you're doing sourdough, having a good grain, using a good grain is important. I mean, this is my ethos. If you're going to put so much time into this living organism and you're going to feed it and you're going to take care of it, and that's how you're going to make your dough, then you should be feeding this live thing the best thing possible.
yeah.
Because someone says I do sourdough, I'm like, well, one, they hate themselves, and two, they care. They care enough to do these things.
I mean, honestly, the thought of using yeast like scares me. Like I've gotten so used to sourdough that like it doesn't really feel like using yeast or like a traditional pre-ferment like a Polish or a Biga. Like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I would definitely fuck with a Polish again. Had some great bread,
Yeah.
some great crust with Polish. The other thing is like a lot of people don't even know why they're using those things. One sec. Do you know, the Edison flour, have you ever tried or used Karen Springs or Central
haven't.
Milling or
So-
any organic flour?
I just figured out where I can get Central Milling from. So I was planning on picking up a bag or two of that and playing around, but I don't know. The color of the Edison flour is like it's like yellowish. Like I've never seen anything like that, and it looked
Yellow?
yeah. It has like a yellow tone to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's just something about it. I think they even said like the enzymes that are in that flour are like really good for sourdough. Like it's what, and this is where my level of understanding just totally, like, I'm out of my element here. But apparently there are enzymes in that flour that are good for sourdough
Okay.
that help in the proofing.
We use the Karen Springs T85 espresso flour, and it's just like this nice, got like a brown
Yeah,
malty, like
It almost looks rye.
yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like a rye flour, and then we use their 100% whole wheat espresso flour as well, which just looks fucking brown.
What percentage? Do you
The whole wheat is like 6-7%, and then the other stuff is like almost 30-40%, and then the rest is ABC Central Milling. And then we feed our sourdough starter. We used to feed it Central Milling High Mountain, but we have not been able to get that fucking flour in 2 months.
Yeah.
Central Milling, I don't know what's going on. I've been writing you emails and no one is getting back to me.
I think they just got really popular.
Yeah, the demand could be crazy. Karen Springs actually had to do a what's it called? I mean, they have to do a lot. They cut off customers. That's why I stopped using Bianco di Napoli. Is they would like allow only certain distributors to bring in so much, and then like you were just shit out of luck if the season was fucked up or like.
Yeah, there's been a couple of occasions where it's been very difficult to get the Bianco di Napoli tomatoes,
Yeah.
and I like to use the crushed too, and those sometimes are harder to get through Ace Indico. Like they'll run out, and then like they stop sending them tomatoes or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I've
you
been
only
fortunate that like I'm a small operation and like I order enough that like I'll get through the 3-week span that like it's hard to get them.
Yeah.
So
1 year it was a whole summer.
I've thought about switching too.
If there's one thing I hate, it's not being able to get a product that I rely on, such
Yeah.
as if it's a tomato and it's a flower, and then somebody tells me, yeah, you can have this, but you might not be able to get it for a week, 2 weeks, 2 months. I'll say, fuck that. I'm never using that flour again, because especially if it's the backbone of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially grain. Well, and also if you're doing a blend and then you have to take 30% of your ingredient away and add something new, it's going to affect your dough. Like,
Yeah.
we had to use King Arthur, and it's just not producing the same results. Like I had to redo the whole fucking dough recipe.
Yeah. See, I think that's why I've stuck with King Arthur, is because for me, I've just always been able to get it. Like without question, I know I can get it. Whereas like some of the other, like the Caputo flours or the Italian stuff, like they're just harder to get sometimes. Like, you know, if you want a bag of Nivola Super, like it's not always in stock.
Yeah.
So it was just always available. So, and I know that I'm contradicting myself because I use Bianco di Napoli tomatoes, but like I've thought of switching to Stanislaus, but then like I just feel like everybody uses them, you know? Like in New Jersey, it's Chow and it's Stanislaus.
Who uses Chow?
Everyone in New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a thing. Like everyone thinks that like, oh, you got to use Chow tomatoes and Caputo flour.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Caputo flour, I used the Americano flour, and it was great results, but I was getting bags that like, I'd get 15 bags and they'd all be clumpy because like when they go through the Panama Canal or some shit, like there's like moisture in the bags, and I was like, that was it for me. And Chow are good tomatoes, but they're just like plain ass tomatoes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people use them.
Interesting. Caputo's
Like,
fucking expensive too.
A lot of and like a lot of traditional like wood fired like Neapolitan guys, like I think they like Chow.
Well, Neapolitan, like if you're abiding by rules and stuff,
gotta
like
be Italian.
you want those Italian tomatoes, man. Well, Stanislaus is good. That's why everyone uses it.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what it is? It's so consistent.
Yep.
They're incredibly consistent, and I don't know. What do you add to your tomato sauce?
I do olive oil, salt, pepper, basil, and oregano.
Okay. Well, you want good tomatoes, and
Yeah.
then you spice up your life. Might be the way to go.
Yes.
Stanislaus,
The plug.
come on. You want some sponsorship? Let's go.
I think it's coming your way.
We'll see, man. I'm gonna have to talk to Idra, see how he did it.
Yeah. And like with King Arthur flour, for me, I've been able to get a high hydration too. So, like you could mix that to whatever your heart desires, I feel like, and it just takes water. And with the Italian flours, like I was getting some soupy messes, but like I have so little time to like really experiment that like you just go with what you know, because you know when My mixer is like the little mixer that could. I do one pop-up and I have to mix 4 to 5 batches of dough.
What kind of mixer are you using?
It's a Famog 10 kilo mixer.
Damn.
Yeah,
You
it's
need at least a 20 quart. Dude.
I need like a 60, I would say.
How many pop-ups you do a week?
I was doing 2, but like now we're pushing it to like 3.
Yeah.
And it's just time. Like I can't physically do it. My body's in shambles these days. Like I'm falling apart.
How old are you?
34.
Dude, come on.
Yeah,
You're a young man.
I know.
Falling apart.
Heavy guy though, so I put a lot of strain on my joints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
I think
You
so.
gotta drink more milk.
Yeah, I didn't drink a lot of milk growing up,
Neither did I. It was
Yeah.
kind of weird.
so
Not a milk kid.
I'm paying for it now.
You got it. Hey, that got milk
Yeah.
thing, dude, just not working.
Yeah,
How much are you making
at
at,
pop-ups,
at a pop-up?
it's growing. So when I started, I'd go out and like $700 would be a good day.
Nice. And how many pizzas is that?
I was doing rounds at the time, and I think my first pop-up, I did like $1,200, but a lot of that was like family and friends were coming out and buying pizzas, and then I was kind of like, the next one we did was like, now you're sink or swim, and we did like $700, and I think I did like, it was like 40 or 50 pizzas. Now, I mean, I do pre-orders now, and we sell those out on a Friday night. I did 80 pizzas in 3.5 hours. I could have extended the time and like done more, but it's just like that's the window that we have at where we were set up.
Yeah.
And with my oven, I can do 8 Detroit pies it's about 25 minutes. The oven just can't take more than that. So like I'm very limited in how many I can produce in a given time frame. But yeah, I mean, I'm pushing like $2,000 a pop up now.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. 6 G's if you do 3
Yeah.
a week. God damn.
It's back-breaking work though. Like, and I did it too, like having no like experience or insight. Like I was like, I'll just buy an enclosed trailer and then I'll buy this 700-pound oven and I'll wheel it in and out of the trailer and I'll set up all these tables. Like if I was smart, I would have spent the money and got a custom built trailer where I like the idea of cooking outside and like not actually inside the truck, but I would have had something where like you pull up, you just pop open the side and everything's laid out ready for you to go.
Yeah.
Like a refrigerated prep rail, a little bit of like a table, and I would have done it that way.
Yeah.
But when I started too, like I had to do it as quickly as I could, just given the situation that I was in, and I didn't have 4 months to wait for a custom build, so I just did it quickly, and then I started thinking about like this would be a lot easier if I just had a more efficient setup, and then I was gonna put the money into a trailer instead of a brick and mortar. And the more and more I thought about that, I'd still have a lot of the same issues that I have now in terms of production space. So just because I have a more efficient setup and it's easier to pull around doesn't really give me the ability to increase my production just based on all the other limitations that I have. So I'd be spending more money and not really have the ability to sell more pizza. And I needed a production space.
Yeah.
So I was looking into like, do I build out my own commissary kitchen? And the cost of that is way more expensive than the price that I negotiated on taking over the second gen space.
Do you have a commissary kitchen right now, or are you running this all out of your house?
I do have a commissary kitchen that I use,
Yeah.
but it's not around the corner.
Yeah.
So, like dough and stuff, like I do at my house, but, I do what I can.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I had to go and rent a commissary space, like I'm particular, like I kind of want it to be my own space. Like I don't want to worry about like sharing equipment or like sharing refrigeration or having other people in and out. Like that doesn't really appeal to me. So I wanted to build out a commissary that I can continue to expand mobile and like, have a fleet of trucks or trailers. But again, like if you're going into a and I'm sure you went through it with this, but when it's a blank space and you have to add a hood, you have to get an oven in there. You have to get the health inspectors involved. Like, you go through all of that, and the time it takes to build it out, you're looking at like $300,000 to like $500,000 and all of that stuff. So I went and I found a spot that has it all. It's a little bigger than I'd like. Like, I worry that I have to figure out how to monetize like all of the square footage. And I think I'll get there, but the cost of getting into it just is so much less.
Yeah. Are you only doing squares right now?
Right. It's kind of switched that way because they're easier to do outside.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to worry about my dough overproofing while I'm at a pop-up. Like, because I par bake them all. So, I par bake like 80 pies. I stack them all up nicely. I put them in the truck. And then, we get there. I pre-top them all. And it's easier to cook them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to worry about the guy burning them or like pizza sticking to the stone. Because when I'm at a pop-up, like, I focus on topping the pies and like getting them out because I'm particular in how they look, and I want to make sure that everything kind of passes my eyes, like what I deem acceptable to serve. No.
Yeah.
She's looking for more darts.
Dude,
she ran out of those Virginia Slims.
She was smoking dirt. Dude.
Yeah,
Like,
you heard it in the voice too.
You
guys open?
She looks like she's from New Jersey.
Yeah, possible.
She's definitely from the island. She's from AC?
It's possible.
She's like, is this Tony Baloney's?
Yeah, but they're just easier to execute on site. So, and everybody's gone crazy over them. So, I don't think Detroit ever really stuck in like New Jersey because everyone's like, it's New York, it's Neapolitan, that's it, that's all pizza is. What's this Detroit crap, right? So you have a lot of that, and I don't know, like, I'd say my pizza's like inspired by a Detroit pie, but like I do a lot of different things, and it's probably, I'm sure you've done similar stuff, but like it's not. Like, I run like an 80% hydration. The only thing that's really Detroit is the pan and the fact that the cheese goes to the edge. But
I guess that makes it a Detroit-esque pizza.
Yeah, it's really more like the base is really more focaccia or like a Roman style. Like, it's very light, it's very airy, super crispy, and I like people, they go nuts over it. So, and I make more money selling them. So I just switched because
no brainer.
Yeah. It's harder to prep for because you have to go through, like dimpling down doughs. I don't have enough pans. So like, I have 50 Detroit pans, but if I'm making 80 pizzas, like I gotta, put some of them in dough bins. And then, as I said, I'm usually par baking like just a few hours before a pop-up. So
why don't you just have a shit ton of them and just freeze them?
I've tried it. Like, I haven't had that much success with freezing. Like, I don't know if it's just something in the back of my head where I'm like, this doesn't feel fresh enough. But I don't know.
I would 100% say that's in your head.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's got to be fresh,
Yeah. We cook. We have squares on top of the oven right now, but we just like bake as many as we can, and then they sit in the fridge for no longer than probably 2 days.
Yeah.
But you just grab them and pan them. I just imagine like getting a head would be nice instead of like.
Well, I try. I just like, it's like I don't have time to get ahead.
Yeah, I guess how's your par bake work? Like, do you just like set the trailer up and like, are you par baking in the trailer?
No, I par bake
at home.
Yeah.
In your fucking oven.
Yeah, I got I do 6 at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Damn.
And I got to rotate the pans that are on the bottom because those start to burn. So that's why I do 6 and not 8, because I can't get to the other 2 on the bottom rack easily enough. Because as soon as I open the door, I have like a 10-second window to like make the switch and get the pizzas out. Otherwise, my smoke alarm, like the fire alarms, are going off. And like I got a dog that's going nuts. I got my baby. Like can't have that. So I do 6 because then I could just go boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then
So if you're par baking 50 pies, how long does that take you?
So 80 takes me like 3 hours.
Sick.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, if I just had a bigger oven,
Yeah.
this would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Damn.
And if I just had a bigger mixer, this would be a lot easier.
Yeah, but you're making it happen.
Yeah.
That's you're doing what you got to do.
Yep.
All right. Final question.
Okay.
What artist or band is the greatest of all time, in your opinion?
It's a no-brainer for me. It's Dave Matthews Band.
Oh my God, get the fuck out of here.
Swear to God.
Are you kidding me?
I've seen him, it's got to be over 35 times.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Are you for real?
I swear to God.
How did we never talk about this on the phone?
I have no idea.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. He's got a stronghold up there, like upstate New York and Vermont and shit too.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been to a show where it hasn't been packed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And every single show is different. When you talk about live performances, I don't think there's anyone out there better. It's always a different show. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he always brings it too, it's never like, oh man, Dave just like today, Carter Buford wasn't smiling.
Yeah.
Like Stefan sucked at bass. Like, I don't know, the energy was low.
Yeah.
Like they go hard.
Yeah, and then I love like the saxophones and the trumpets, man. Rashawn Ross,
Yeah.
Jeff Coffin.
Butch Taylor.
Yeah. And then Tim Reynolds, how could you forget
Timmy
him?
Reynolds
Oh,
just
man.
fucking making weird ass sounds on guitars. Like,
that
what
guy-
is that a guitar or is he strangling a puppy?
He's just tickling the strings.
Dude, he's just tickling my heartstrings,
Yeah.
dude.
And so for me, it's a.
What's the best Dave show you've ever seen?
That's tough. The Hollywood Bowl sticks out.
Nice.
Just because, like, I think it's just a memorable time of my life, like living here and like seeing him there. Mm-hmm. And then I've also been to Mexico twice when he does the Dave and Tim, the acoustic set.
Yeah.
And that's awesome because like you're on the beach and it's like warm and you have like the sea breeze and like the Dave Matthews and Tim doing acoustic. Like it's a vibe.
Magical.
Yeah.
Damn, that's incredible. Well, I love it. What a way to end it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Dave Matthews forever. Hiller likes to put Dave Matthews on. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, where do we go to get in touch?
Instagram.
Okay.
Bucky's NJ Pizza. It's Buckys.
Why Bucky's?
Actually, that's a great question. So Bucky is my wife's grandfather.
Okay.
He's no longer with us, but they had a big fish business. They were fish wholesalers in Brooklyn. They were in existence from like 1914 to 1995, and they were like second to Fulton Street Fish Market. And I think the legacy and like the stories that everybody would tell about like the business and what he did for the business and grew it, and it just always kind of resonated. And I feel like Bucky's is. I have the issue now where everyone hears Bucky's and they think it's Irish, but I just think it's a little offbeat enough where like it sticks.
Yeah.
And people can remember it.
Yeah.
And like what was I going to do? Name it Domenick's? Like there's a lot of
Domenick's out
there's
there.
a lot of those. So I just thought it made a lot of sense, and it's kind of like carrying on like the family name, and it felt like the right thing to do.
That's cool. I feel like it's also got like a classic tinge to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like ties in like the whole food thing and like entrepreneurship and all that. So
Well, I'll hit you up on Instagram. Do you have a website?
not yet.
Damn.
I'm
not
slacking.
even a website.
Yeah, I'm slacking.
It's all right.
It'll come soon. It'll
Bruce
have to.
always says a website doesn't even matter.
It's just for ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dude. Thank you for making the time on this trip
Yeah,
that
thanks.
you had, and I hope that you just taste more delicious pizza today.
I will.
When do you leave?
Tomorrow morning.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, dude.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much.